Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Happy August. Oh my god, I can't even believe that I'm saying that. It's literally August, which means that next month is September, which means that we're very close to the fall time and winter time. That's just so crazy how fast summer has gone. I don't know, it just went by so quickly. I feel like summer just started, so now that it's coming to an end, I was just kind of like, what happened to it? But I'm happy though. I'm over the whole Texas heat. It's so hot, and I know that August is just gonna get hotter here in Texas, so I'm really happy for the colder seasons, just because I personally prefer it being colder. It doesn't really get below 0 or anything like that for the most part, so I'm happy when it comes to winter and just fall time because it's really nice outside. But we did read a lot of great books in July. I'm on my phone because I'm on my Goodreads. You guys can follow me there if you guys want some real-time updates on the books that I'm currently reading. I read 7 books in July and DNF'd 2 books. But let's start with the books that I actually finished in the month of July. The first book that I read in July was Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is a novella that's in between Powerless and Reckless. And Reckless did just come out in July, I believe, sometime during the summer. And this one follows Peyton's best friend while Peyton is in the trials in the first book. And to be honest with you guys, I DNF'd that book at the end. Like, I literally had a couple chapters in Powerless and I DNF'd it, and it was mostly because I was just kind of over reading it. I've been reading it for so long that I was just really tired of reading it. I just wanted to move on to the next book. So I was actually really happy that I did that though, because obviously something big happens at the end of Powerless, you know, like it happens in here too. So I didn't know what happened in Powerless, so coming into this one I was just very shocked, and for that I am happy that I didn't finish, because it did give me, you know, like a reaction to it. It just made me feel, you know, different types of ways that if I would have read Powerless, because I would have known what would have happened at the end, you know what I mean? So for that reason, I'm happy that I DNF'd it, but oh my god, you guys. But this book was so good. It's just a short little novella. I finished it in obviously like half a day, but this one does follow Dina, and it's a love story between her and this guy named Mac. You guys, I loved their love story. It was so good. Like, for whatever reason, like, I really held on to that character Mac and Adina, especially Adina. The obsession that I had with these two characters was just, I don't know, I couldn't describe it. It's honestly, I like them both as, you know, individual characters as well, more than actual Kai and Peyton. I don't know what it is about these two characters that I just really felt really close with them. I don't know how or why, but I really like these characters much more than the ones that we did have in Powerless. I'm hoping that the second book is actually better than the first one. I just think that it took me a long time to finish that one, and when it takes me longer to finish a book, especially when it comes to fantasies, I do get bored really quickly. So I think that's what it was. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and reread it, because, you know, I kind of already know what happens at the end, and I can always just do like a little recap of what happened in the first book. I definitely do want to read the second one pretty soon. I don't know if I recommend reading the novella, because you might want to read the first one, just because there are things in there that happens that you might be a little confused with when it comes to the novella. The next book that I read was a novel love story by Ashley Poston. When this author announced that she was releasing another book, I was just over the moon. I was so excited to pick this one up, because The 7-Year Slip was just, you know, like, it's just one of those books that are very unique, and you will not really find a book like that anywhere else. And so I thought going into this, I did have, you know, high expectations, and I need to stop doing that. Honestly, I really do, because, you know, it's not really healthy. It's not really smart to go into a book, you know, having those expectations, because at the end of the day, you're probably never gonna reach that kind of high and excitement for the, you know, same books. So that was my fault. But this one follows our main character named Aileen. She actually is going on a road trip to, you know, like a getaway, like a book club getaway, and while she's going there, she actually gets into this accident, and for some reason, some way, she actually gets, you know, transported into her favorite book. And so she sees her favorite characters, and then she sees this one guy who knows that they're in a book, but you don't know how or why, and like, you know, everything that's going on, it's not really explained, which is actually also like in The 7-Year Slip. That one also has like magical realism, and it's not really explained which, you know, most people don't really care. I didn't care. Like, I was just really happy with, you know, the whole plot of what happens in that book. But with this one, I don't know what it was about this one where I just kind of felt very indifferent with the plot. I feel like we were running in circles a lot with what happens. And with our male interest in the beginning when they first meet, I didn't really like him. I don't like how they met because he was kind of rude towards her, and there were just some comments that he was making where I was just not happy with how he was treating her. And I get it, there's like a lot of books that, you know, revolve around our main characters, like male characters that are grumpy and, you know, like, you know, they don't like anything in the world. But with this one, I just feel like there was a difference between being grumpy and kind of being rude, where you were just kind of like, whoa, you need to tone it down a bit, you know what I mean? And because of that, I just didn't really like their relationship. I really do feel like their actual relationship just came out of nowhere. This book, I don't really feel like it needed a love interest at all. I think that she could have just written him as a friend and that would have been great. If you enjoy cozy reads and like both characters just, you know, taking their time to solve the plot and, you know, it going a little bit slower, I think that this book will definitely be really good. Maybe if I would have read it, you know, a little bit more during the fall time, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But I was definitely looking for a more meet cute, you know, rom-com-ish type of book, and this one definitely wasn't that. But yeah, I definitely do recommend. It's a really good book, but I just probably would recommend it maybe during the fall time. The next book that I read was Home is Where the Bodies Are. This one is by Geneva Rose. She is the author of The Perfect Marriage, which I personally loved. I know that it's very 50-50. It's been 3 years since I finished that book and I still love it till this day. But this one follows 3 siblings, and so their mom actually passes away, but before that their dad actually ends up going missing, but his body was never found. I really enjoy this one because there are 3 different siblings. They all deal with different things. One of the sisters actually is dealing with addiction, and because it does follow 3 different siblings, it does give you 3 different point of views. And I don't know, I think it was definitely very enjoyable because of that. Like, each character has their own issues that they're dealing with, and before the mom actually passes away, she actually tells one of the sisters something very crucial about their father and, you know, his disappearance. And so you're going through that, and there's also different, you know, disappearance that also happened. I definitely recommend this one, especially going into the fall time. I don't know, I just think it was really fun. Don't expect like your typical thriller where, you know, like you're trying to wait for that one plot twist. It's not, you know, jaw-dropping, but it's definitely a really fun read. The next book that I read was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I know that this book was getting a lot of hate in the beginning, but it's because people didn't really read, you know, the beginning where it literally tells you that this is not your typical Ali Hazelwood book. This is literally an erotic fiction, but it does have different topics that she touches on. Like, it does have, like, you know, like your typical Ali Hazelwood spice into it. Like, there are other topics that both our main characters deal with that I personally enjoyed. I wish we would gotten a little bit more of that. I enjoyed it nonetheless. I did, you know, skim through the spice because I don't really mind it, but I also don't, you know, seek out for it. Our main character is Rue, which I loved her so much. There was just something about Rue that I just personally loved. I really do think that she was definitely a really strong character and very smart, very intelligent, and really witty. I just loved her. There's just so many little funny comments that she would make towards our other character, which was Eli. And initially how our main characters meet is they're both on a dating website where it's not really dating, it's basically where they, you know, link up to do things. And so they meet at a bar, and, you know, like the whole situation I really liked from the beginning. I definitely felt their spark, not like, you know, romantically or like, you know, being attracted to each other, but more of like their chemistry. There was just something about them that I definitely do believe that they belong with each other. And I definitely give our author a lot of props because it is very hard to write about characters that are attracted to each other and also have that spark and like feel like these characters truly like each other besides the actual, you know, attraction towards each other. The next book that I read was The Maid by Nita Prose. This one was very popular on Book Talk. I was always seeing it at Barnes and other bookstores, and I kept eyeing it, but I never bought it. And when I did buy it, it was on my shelf for the longest time as well. So I finally got to it and I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a really good book. This one was definitely a really fun read. There was a lot of gossip in this book where it was just really enjoyable, and our main character was definitely very gullible controllable and just really quick to trust people, which I personally really enjoyed. In a lot of thrillers, most of our characters are very unlikable. Like, I don't think I've ever really liked any characters in other thrillers that I read, but this one I really enjoyed. She was really funny. She was trusting people that she should not be trusting at all. There's so many decisions that she was making without really thinking it because she was trusting these people so much, and I can definitely see how this character can definitely be annoying to some people, but I just really found it really fun to read about, like her trusting people and the little comments that she would make, because she was very sheltered by her grandma who ends up passing away, and there was just so many funny little witty comments that she would make that they were really out of pocket, and you know, like you would have to read the room to not make those type of comments, and it was just really fun. So our main character, her name is Molly, and she's a maid for this actual hotel, and there's a murder that happens. You're kind of going through that, but then also figuring out that there's like different things that are happening in the hotel as well, and it was just really fun. It's definitely a different type of thrillers than other books that I read, and because of that I really enjoyed it. I don't know, I keep thinking about this book. I think I read it like 2 weeks ago and I keep thinking about it, so I think that this is definitely more on like the 4.5 stars rating, probably, because I really enjoy this character. If you want a quick read, I definitely recommend this one. It was definitely such a fun read. Do be aware though that our main character is a little, you know, ditzy. She's definitely a little ditzy, so if you don't like those type of characters, you might not like her because you're definitely gonna be annoyed with her in some situations that she puts herself in, so do be aware of that. But if you go into it knowing that she's kind of like that, I think it'll be really fun to read. The next book that I read was Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This one was honestly very surprising because I read her other book, Same Time Next Summer, and I gave that book 2 stars. Like, I did not like that book at all, but this one I was very surprised. Like, from the get-go, I loved this book so much, and the way both our characters meet is just really funny because her dog actually ends up peeing on him, and there's just so many situations that were definitely very cute, and I just love her dynamic with her friends, her families, and her kids as well, because she has 3 kids and she's dealing with an actual divorce that she's going through at the same time. I don't know, there was just so many aspects towards this book that I really loved. It definitely redeemed this author for me. I will definitely be reading more of her books. I definitely do want to read her Nora Goes Off Script, I believe that's what it's called. I was really happy by the end of it. It was really fun, and the actual conflict that happens was resolved, you know, like adults, just like how you always want them to be resolved. And our main male character is definitely the best for her. I love their dynamic and I love them both, and kind of like the little twist that happens, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I see you, Annabelle. I see you. The last book that I read was Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one is the 2nd book in the Natural series, which is basically where they have like this like teen program for special kids where they work with the FBI to solve cold cases. And so this one kind of like continues with the first book with what happens at the end. And there is like a little love triangle that I loved in the first one, and I definitely loved in the second one. It was so good, but I can't really say much about the second book without giving spoilers. I don't know what to expect with the other 2 books. Like, I have no clue where this is going at all. I'm gonna go into it blindly, honestly. Like, I truly don't know what's gonna happen at the end because there are different cases that are happening in both books, and with this one it was definitely more interesting than the first one because it follows another character and kind of like a copycat to that character, and there's just so many different things that are happening at the same time. All right, so to talk about the 2 books that I DNF'd. The first book that I DNF'd was Butcher and Blackbird. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm just not in the mood or what it is, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. This one is basically about 2 serial killers, and I don't know, I definitely don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to continue the series or just give it away. I was definitely going into it with high expectations, and reading it, I was just not really feeling it. I was just not really intrigued because it was kind of like a little gory because it would go into depth of them being serial killers and, you know, doing those things. And so I don't know if it's just not for me to read about those scenes. But yeah, I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. We'll see if this ends up being in a reading vlog. The other book that I DNF'd was actually on my Kindle, and that was Girl on Broad. I've never read any of her other books. Like, she's really popular for other series, but I wanted to give this one a chance because it's not part of any series. It's just kind of like a standalone, and I think I got like maybe 4 chapters into it, something like that, 5 chapters, and I was just not really feeling it. I don't know if it was like like the writing or what it was, or just the plot and just the characters was just not intriguing to me at all. But I just kind of like put it down and just never picked it up again. Like I just ended up picking up another book instead. So I just don't think that the writing style and the characters were for me, but I can definitely see how the author is just really popular, and I definitely do want to pick up her other books, but I just think that that one was just not for me. These are all the books that we read in July. I'm so excited to see what other books I'm going to be reading in August and, you know, throughout the rest of this year. I can't believe we're in August already. And then next thing you know, it's already the next year. So I'm very scared. But yeah, that concludes today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, night, whatever time you guys are watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.